And it matches with your hoodie.
I know, right?
Oh
I didn't even intend for that to like
What?
happen. I just threw one in. Very cute. So it's just accompanying me for today. All right, so thank you so much
Of
for
course.
joining me on the lovely, very bright red sofa, with the little Nessie. I mean,
They're
as you
Apex
say,
colors, though. I like it.
yeah,
Honestly.
it matches. It goes really well. So you are one of like the most well recognized, most experienced casters in Apex. Um, and obviously you've had a lot of experience with LAN events. So how has, both here at Split 2, but also back in February at Split 1, how has that experience been for you? And I hope you've had a lovely time, by the way.
I have. Well, Split 1 was my first time in London. So yeah, so I really enjoyed like a new environment. Being back felt nicely familiar because we were still at the same hotel, still in the same area. I felt like I didn't have to like relearn the pathway to get here. I do get lost pretty frequently, so that's the good thing. I was able to feel more at home the second time around. But LAN is always so exciting because when do you ever get to have these teams meet up together? That's why I love the format, because it's kind of like a World Cup format where you get different regions always competing against each other, but only the best get to compete against the whole world. So you literally have a lobby of the best teams in the whole world all together, and like you can't get that anywhere else. Yeah, because they're paying in different service. So yeah, it's awesome.
It's hard to get it anywhere else. I mean, I spoke to Yuki recently, and he was saying that until this LAN, he'd never met Effect in person.
Yeah,
So this LAN is like the first time that they get to sit and
yeah,
actually play together. And I feel like that's so special. It's like one of the little special touches with
yeah.
these.
It's kind of like when you meet an internet friend, and like, but that's more than that, because to them that's like they're like family, they're a team.
Yeah.
Even if they had to have a sub last time, um, it's kind of how I felt when during champs last year, my friend that I only met through Apex made his way to champs, and I got to meet him in person for the first time. It was like, so I'm like kind of getting like, oh my god, isn't that amazing? Because I haven't had many moments where I've gotten to meet a friend from a game in person. I think it's only happened twice, and that was the second time. And it's just, it's aside from the players being able to meet up again together, it's also like the idea of people who love the game meeting up to watch the game in person. Like, imagine queuing up with a squad that you've never met in person before, but then you guys get to meet together in champs.
Yeah.
Or LAN. Like, it's next level.
Just like really enjoy like your passion
Yeah.
together. It's a whole nother level.
I love it.
It honestly warms my heart every single time. I absolutely love it. So, you've obviously spent a lot of time around the Apex scene. You're really kind of in the midst of all of it. There's a lot of passion that comes with that, obviously. So, how did that passion build for you? Like, how was that kind of journey into kind of falling in love with the esport?
So I've always loved esports in general, and I've also watched ALGS. I remember the first broadcast I tuned into. It was Fallout and Girl, and it was during, I think, the winter circuit. It was during the pandemic, and I had it in the back while I was playing Apex. And and I was only at the time, that was like the first year that I got involved with playing the game, because I needed something new. It was the pandemic, and I just wasn't really loving the direction of the other competitive games that I was playing at the time. There wasn't a lot of updates, and I really needed something to help when we're stuck at home. And so one of my girls that actually was the one that like, hey, jump on this game. We can't hang out, but like we can hang out in the game. And I was like, you know what? You're right. I'm gonna do that. I'm down to try it out. And I had so much fun. It was like, I don't know. I just, it's very hard for me to get involved in a new game as quick as I did with Apex. And then I gave myself, I do this to myself a lot. It could definitely be a mental barrier, but I held myself back from casting Apex games until, because I'm the IGL of my team, until I was able to call out where we were going in the map without having to open the map. I wanted to make sure that I knew everything before, because I didn't know the players. I knew like some names here and there. I obviously I knew TSM because of what happened in Poland. But I didn't know the scene yet. I wasn't part of it. So other than what I could see on the screen and what the stream was showing us, so the one thing that I wanted to have as a strength was I wanted to know the game in and out in every way, and then bring my experience and then tell a story for what these players may be experiencing themselves when put in a similar situation. So that was really like, once I got to that point and I felt comfortable enough and I wanted to take the leap, and when I got the opportunity, I took it as quick as I could.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that really brings a certain value to your casting. You can kind of notice it. Like you're always very, very quick in noticing like what's happening, who's it happening to, where's it going. And I think it really definitely gives a boost to a lot of these broadcasts, especially when you're watching online, because I feel like it's harder to keep up a lot of the time
It
online.
is, and what if you're like doing other things in the back? I also
Mm,
try to take like an approach where not only is it something that people who may not play the game very often could understand, but I've always thought, and this is just casting in general with my other games, is like, what if they're watching like a podcast
mm,
and they don't have the visuals to be able to follow through? That's why I really like to pinpoint positioning a lot. Because if you have at least played the game and you know what areas like that exist in the maps that they're currently playing in, you could get like a mental map, a mental image of what we're foretelling. So I try to keep that in mind. Maybe they can't just be at the screen actively and they can
mm.
only hear.
Paint the picture,
Yeah.
get the visuals. Because I know that even myself, like I'll have a Twitch stream on and I'll have it in my pocket with my earphones in and I'll be walking somewhere. So it's definitely very, very valuable. So this LAN we have like so many fantastic teams. I
Yeah.
mean, I'd say even more than Split One. We've got Furia back at LAN,
Yeah.
which is always fantastic. And we've got some newbies as well, like MDY White, who their fans. Have you heard them?
Did they drive 20 days to really? I saw something that like
Yeah.
they drove 20 days. I was like, is that like a misspelling? Like 20 days or 20 hours? I mean, I guess 20 hours wouldn't make sense either. So that's
Yeah.
impressive.
You drive 20 hours in the UK, I think you're driving in a circle at that point.
Yeah. I'm like, how is
So,
that even possible? How did they even get here? Like by car? I don't know. Like I'm I'm still trying to figure out the landscape here.
yeah.
So
I've
I
heard 28 days.
but also that is some dedication. 20 days,
Yeah.
that's basically a month of being in a car.
I would not.
I
I
get
I cannot.
I would go crazy. And then that's coming from somebody that like lives 4 hours away from Disney World. So, you know, we are okay to usually take that drive, but even then it's like 4 hours and 20 days. Oof. So it also highlights how dedicated the fans are
Oh
to
yeah.
Apex Esports.
I think with Apex, there's just a different quality to a lot of the fans. Like there's so much friendliness and like community.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's something you've also felt, but
Yeah.
I just think everyone's really lovely.
I love it. I love it because it gives me, as I've gotten older too, and since I come from Smash Brothers, it's a very young community.
Mm.
A lot of teenagers and even children that go with their parents, children that are very good at the game, just beating grown adults will have their
Scary.
parent. Yeah, and it's like, man, my reaction time just isn't the same anymore. I mean, hearing about Zainu and Effect, for example,
Yeah.
they're like 18. I'm just like, what? And it's just crazy. But what I like about Apex is that it's very mature. Even these young players are very mature.
Mm.
Seeing the support that these families of theirs like come out to the arena, waving their flags around. I love the direction that esports has taken where that wasn't very common. When I started out casting, I was 19. I'm 27 now. It's been a few years. I know, no, it's not been a ton yet, but even just 6 years ago, explaining what esports was, even to my professors while I was going to college, was interesting. They didn't understand, but I had luckily enough people that understood to the like a borderline and then just were in my corner and would help me out at least achieve the things that I was aiming for in esports. So now it's a lot more acceptable. I feel like scholarship opportunities for collegiate, like it's gonna get bigger. It's just gonna get bigger.
I really want more of that to come to the UK because I know that in North America you can get, scholarships
Mhm.
based on your esports ability, and it hasn't quite got to that stage here yet. Like, do you think there's anything that a lot of the universities and the colleges here can do to like really push that?
I would say clubs in high schools or even middle schools. If there's like a computer club, allow there to be like a space where like young kids could just enjoy themselves, either bring their own consoles, like maybe they have a Switch that they want to bring, or if there's already setups available to start playing. And then once the school starts competing, that's also money that could go towards the school and then towards bonds for the scholarships of the players in the future, depending on how much money they really do win at the end of the day. I would treat it like, honestly, normal sports. I'm not too sure how it works over here when it comes to like picking up players that like are specialized in certain sports, that if that grants them opportunities to play those sports in college, because it's kind of the process in America where you're really good at football in high school, chances of you having a scout go to the game and then pick you up for I don't know, University of Miami or something, it's a high probability as if you're good. Even if there's a lot of schools, it just gives more of a talent pool for the scouts to dwindle down through. So something like that could be translated into esports. Just you're not doing physical sports. You're playing these games at a highly competitive level, taking them through boot camp like the players here do. And then imagine what that would translate to, an insane beast that could start playing during tournaments like this.
There's like an immeasurable amount of skill that these players have, and every time I see someone undervalue it, I'm like, no, you can't.
Yeah.
Like these guys, they study their game,
Yeah.
and they need respect for it for sure. I think there are a lot of teams here from like the APAC North and South regions. I think they, on the topic of respect, they're
doing really well right now.
I know, right?
I love it. I'm like, finally, because like they needed to show up, and they were unfortunately not really showing up, especially in the last line. And like they're here, like they're showing up. They made sure that they were gonna change things up a bit. And there's a huge audience for competitive Apex in Asia, like a big one, like bigger than any other esports that I've personally seen at least. So that's awesome.
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic, and I think seeing so much support for those APAC teams at this LAN, it's so encouraging because they really deserve a lot of recognition. They've grinded that game just like every other player in every other region has. So it's fantastic to see them getting that appreciation, especially from the crowd as well. It must be a massive boost, especially to someone like, a player from MDYY, where it's their first LAN. Like, it's their first time.
I wonder if they're nervous, or is that like a power up? Some players love hearing or feeling the lights on them and hearing the crowd, see it like a boost instead. But then there's also players that get scared about it. So it's a lot. It's a lot for new players to take in, but you have to start somewhere.
I know that was a big factor with Vex last split, because obviously they are a very capable team. They routinely do really well in the EMEA region, but at split one, it was their first ever LAN, and maybe they didn't do quite as well as they wanted to, but I feel like they're ready to come back.
Yeah,
they're ready to do
and they're already showing it right now.
Yeah, they had a fantastic win earlier today, and it was so nice to see. Honestly, bless their little heart.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy to see it happen. I'm also really happy that there was minimal these issues, so that way we can see all the teams together at their full potential. So
absolutely, I mean, even just seeing Effect on Alliance,
and Aurora too coming out, it's the redemption arc. Fire Beavers. Yes, let's go.
It's so brilliant. And Fire Beavers, they are bringing their A game. They are loving it. So are there any other teams that you think deserve that extra little bit of recognition, an extra little spotlight?
Oh, man, because the thing is, a lot of the teams that I really like are teams that have so much skill and recognition already. If I could think of a team, you know what? Pulverex. APAC, we're talking about APAC. I love Pulverex. I love each and individual player on that team. F-Chan is hilarious. Very funny personality. Dreamfire, technically, Rory, too. Being able to play with your two teammates in person for the first time when you couldn't do it before. And he's such a good, likable personality, too. His positive attitude. Pulverex kind of went through something similar during Champs, playing out as a duo and still doing very well, by the way. I think there was a game that it was Thermal Station, and they ended up being top 2 or top 3 in that circle and playing the whole tournament as a duo, and then still, I think, making it into... It was day, I don't know if it was finals, but they went really far day 3. And it was
electric.
It's exciting. Yeah. The situation sucks, but it's seeing them from that and then now. Yeah. It's yes, finally. Yeah. We get the building blocks together. The Jenga tower has not fallen.
Even players like JMW and Noises, for example, last year, I think, what was it? They ended up playing with their manager or something.
Yeah.
Which was just insane.
I think it was because there was a health issue. Somebody was sick.
Yeah.
Something like that.
And it was crazy. And, JMW, he's so experienced. He's literally won a LAN before, but it wasn't with his team. It was as a sub. Right. So I feel like he's now on Jailings. Him coming through, I thought it's quite a big moment for him as well.
So many storylines.
Honestly. You could make a book.
Yeah, and that's the best part about it. That's to have that within the esports division is huge, because that allows you to now bridge the players or rather the audience that can't follow every region, time zone problems, but now can see them all fare up against each other, and what will that mean? I would say personally the teams that need more recognition is Pulverex, and then if I were to throw in another team that has recognition but sometimes could get overshadowed by the bigger teams like Xset, Furia, TSM, of course, Energy, would be Luminosity. I really enjoy that team too.
They had
Also,
a great morning.
yeah, they also are like they have all like monopolizing the Smash scene. Like they are out here, like they picked up the best player in the world over there, and I still like cast that game too. So be able to see. Also, Furia has the best Captain Falcon player as a player for Smash as well. So to see the crossover for me as a commentator for the two games that I pay attention to frequently is like super cool because to me it's like, yeah, you guys are winning everything. Like let's go. Yeah, literally. Like I love that. And sometimes like I could tie it into the narrative. Like whenever I talk about either team, if there's like a bleed in from one esport to the other, as long as it's okay, and I get the write off for it, I just mentioned like, yeah, they, you know, like MKLeo from Luminosity just won this tournament last weekend, and now look at LG Chivas here. Like they're winning all these games in day one of ALGS. Like you guys just don't stop winning, and then like
it's all a big community at the end of the day.
Yeah, and it's also a way to highlight the org itself. And like highlighting players are always great. That's something you're naturally gonna do. But and then also highlighting the org itself is also something nice.
Absolutely. And the great thing about Luminosity as well is they invest a lot in the women's comp scene.
Yes, they do.
They have two amazing teams. Like with some of the best female players that I've ever seen, like Giggle Autumn, Baby Ducks. Like these players are absolutely insane. It's dopey. Like the fact that they really kind of went in, like, was like, yeah, we're going to support this scene. I respect the hell out of it.
I love
it's
it.
Fantastic. And obviously, you've got Sabs here today as well.
Of course, yeah.
Like the women's comp queen. So
TSM, I'm trying to do some like basically similar with Apex, and in general, like more orgs picking up these all women teams is always super exciting too, because it's also a bridge up too for the girls that find success on other random squads outside of all women tournaments to being able to go through a challenger circuit. I mean, Sabs, you know, she's so successful as a pro player, has seen these lobbies before. I was talking to her about it actually, and she was like, man, being here just makes me want to play in this event more and more. I'm like, yeah, I can imagine, because watching the game gives me an itch. I can only imagine being a player at her caliber and then watching like teams like Vex like pop off. Like I would want to.
It must feel amazing. It must feel absolutely amazing. I know that we've been sitting here for a while. I would love to talk to you for hours.
I could talk about this game for a long time.
Oh my goodness. I think all of us here could. Like, we all absolutely love it.